Hello students, welcome to Module 3 titled Components of Curriculum Implementation. At the end of this module, you will be able to identify the components of curriculum, list the domains of learning, discuss the domain of learning, mention the 4 CIPP model and their functions, describe the criteria for selecting subject matter for the curriculum. You will also be able to list the principles to follow in organizing the learning contents. You will be able to list factors that are affecting curriculum implementation. Discuss curriculum content, resources, and methods. And lastly, you'll be able to list the steps of curriculum evaluation. What then are the components of curriculum? There are 4 basic components of curriculum. The first being that you must set out the aims of the curriculum, the goals and objectives of the curriculum. Like we have mentioned earlier, your vision, the mission of any institution or organization will begin with the aims of such organization, the objective or the goal. All right? It is when this is well established then that the other components will begin to materialize. Secondly, we have the curriculum content or subject matter. All right? Thirdly, you also want to work on the curriculum experience as well as curriculum evaluation. You will recall that we have mentioned these repeatedly in our previous discussions. There are 3 domains of learning: the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor domains. The cognitive domain has been described as learning with the head. The affective domain has been described as learning with the heart. And the psychomotor domain has been described as learning with the hands. So in preparing our lesson or in preparing our curriculum, we have to ensure that all the 3 domains of learning are incorporated. This will eventually produce an all-round learning experience, for the pupils. As you are teaching them the theories that you are learning with their head, the cognitive, you are also teaching them on how to react, to the learning experiences, as well as how to carry out, how to demonstrate, what you have taught them. So all these 3 areas are essential in planning our lessons or in designing the curriculum. Now let's look at the cognitive domain. This diagram illustrates the hierarchy of the cognitive domain, beginning with knowledge and ending with evaluation. It begins with the most simple and ends with the most complex. All right? Knowledge basically includes the ability of the learner to recall information. You have been taught 6 types of colors. Can you tell me 6 types of color? So if this person is able to list them, then the person has acquired that knowledge. All right? So, and that is the basic of the cognitive domain. This is followed with comprehension. Comprehension is the ability of the learner to understand the meaning of what is known. All right? In this case, the learner will be able to explain what is known using his or her own words without having to cram, the notes from the teacher. All right? Now, this is followed by application. What is application of knowledge? Application of knowledge is the ability of the learner, to apply what has been taught to new situations. For instance, in economics, you have taught your students the theory of demand and supply. If a student is able to explain the reason why the price of chicken goes up during Christmas, then you can comfortably say that this student has achieved the ability to apply the knowledge that he has learned. Analysis is the ability of the learner to differentiate between facts, between theories, and opinion. All right? In the example that we have cited about demands and supply, in explaining the reason why chickens become so expensive during Christmas, another student may disagree with the theory using his own idea, using his own experience. That is analysis. Synthesis is the ability of the learner to put together different ideas and make sense out of it. And of course, evaluation. Evaluation is the ability of the learner to use different concepts, different theories, different scenarios to come up with his or her own unique idea about a situation. That is sitting pretty at the peak of the cognitive domain. All right? So let's go to the next one, the affective domain of learning. The affective domain deals with, the manners in which we sort out issues that has to do with emotion, feelings, values, appreciation, etc., etc. And it has 5 subcategories. You have the receiving, responding, valuing, organization, and characterization. When you talk about receiving, this has to do with awareness, willingness to listen, to be attentive, especially in class. So when you use words like, be dutiful, be attentive, does anyone have a question to ask? You're appealing to the receiving subdomain of the affective domain. Now, responding deals with the active participation on the part of learners. Attend and react to a particular phenomenon in class. You have raised the question, how are the learners participating in answering the questions? So when you use words like answer, assist, discuss, greet, you're appealing to that level of subdomain. When you talk about valuing deals with the worth or the value a person attaches to a particular object or behavior. All right? This can range from as simple as acceptance to the more complex state of commitment. All right? That is valuing. It demonstrates belief in for instance, the democratic process, sensitive towards other individuals, and respects cultural differences. That is valuing. The next one is organization. Organization, that is when values are prioritized. Organization. This organizes values into priorities by appreciating the differences in the values and using that to resolve conflict, for instance. All right, when you are able to appreciate misunderstanding and bring out the clarity of the situation, and using that to resolve issues amongst people, that is organizing. All right, that is a higher level in the affective domain. And sitting at the top is characterization. Characterization, the behavior, a particular behavior, when it is pervasive, is consistent, is predictable, it forms the basis of the person's existence. Some would refer to it as my philosophy of life, right? So this is characterization. When you use words like discriminates, modifies, performs, verifies, you're talking at the high level of affective domain. The psychomotor domain includes physical movements, coordination, and use of motor skills, right? The development of these skills require practice and is measured in terms of speed, in terms of precision, in terms of distance, in terms of procedure or techniques in carrying out the motor skills. There are 7 major categories listed from the simplest behavior to the most complex. The first category is perception. Perception basically means awareness, the ability to use sensory organs, the ability to use sensory cues to guide motor activity. All right? It ranges from sensory stimulation through, responding to cues without having, we talk about non-verbal communication, and people respond, as well as it can go as far as, translation. All right? For instance, when learners detect non-verbal communication cues, all right, when you estimate where a ball will land after it is thrown and then move into the correct location to catch the ball, these are psychomotor skills. All right, then the next one is set. What is set? Set is readiness to act. It includes the mental, physical, and emotional readiness. Just like, when you're starting a 100-meter race and the referee says, on your mark, set. The set is, that act of readiness, mental, physical, the hormones are firing, ready to take action. Guided response refers to the early stages in learning a complex skill that includes imitation, that may also include trial and error until the learner eventually gets to do it perfectly. For instance, in learning to perform a mathematical equation as demonstrated by the teacher. All right, you follow instruction to build a model. You respond to hand signal instructor while learning to operate, for instance, and how to drive or how to operate a machine. All right, all these are guided response. You're still learning the rudiments of carrying out these motor skills. All right, the next one is mechanism. Mechanism refers to basic proficiency. You have moved from the rookie, the learner, who is just learning about how to operate this machine, who is learning about how to carry out this particular move, or how to deliver his speech, during a drama session. You have moved to basic proficiency. This is the intermediate stage in learning a complex skill. All right, the learned responses have become habitual, and the movement can be performed with some confidence and proficiency. All right, for instance, the use of personal computer. For some, you are starting out, you don't even know how to power on a computer. But with time, you can power it on even without thinking. That is a mechanism. The next one is complex overt response. All right, at this stage, you are moving towards becoming an expert. The skillful performance of the motor arts that includes complex movement patterns, right? You are proficient in coordinating a performance, with minimum energy. That is complex over response. Keywords like, calibrate, construct, dismantle, display. You can do all this without much effort. Then you have achieved that level of psychomotor efficiency. Now, what is adaptation? Adaptation refers to skills that are now well developed, and the individual can modify movement patterns to fit special requirements. For instance, responds effectively, to unexpected experience. This has never happened before, and it happens, and you respond effectively to it. That means you have adapted. You are modifying an instruction that was given to you, and you are applying it to a new situation. That is adaptation. And sitting at the peak of the psychomotor domain is origination. When you create new movement pattern, for instance, to fit a particular situation, or a specific problem. When learning outcomes emphasize creativity based upon highly developed skill, you are using all the skills that you have acquired over time, that you have perfected, that you don't have to think about it before you carry it out. For instance, when you construct a new theory from your various wealth of knowledge that you acquire over time, that is origination. When you develop a new and comprehensive training program, for instance, from the previous training programs and concepts and theories that you have learned over time, all right, that is origination. And then we'll talk about factors affecting curriculum implementation. And incidentally, this will also be your next assignments. We know that implementing curriculum in Nigeria, has been problematic, and a lot of factors have been identified as contributing to the inefficient implementation of curriculum. Now, I have listed teachers, learners, resources, interest group, school environment, culture and ideology, instructional supervision, assessments, as some of those factors that may influence or affect curriculum implementation. Now, your assignment is to develop, this list is no means exhaustive. You have other factors that affect curriculum implementation that are not listed here. So your assignment is to discuss the factors affecting curriculum implementation in Nigeria.